What's up, guys? Welcome to the line change. And man, what a way to end a fantastic hockey game. Like, really? No, I know I'm sounding like The Miz right now. Really? 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 Ooh. I was all ready to partay tonight, and I was ready to see the Abbotsford Canucks hoist the Calder Cup tonight. I actually got off work, about during the third period. So I was, obviously keeping an eye on Twitter/X, for the score. Hopped into Nothing is Perfect stream, Russell stream. And then as I'm on my way home, I realized I went like this, had, itched the back of my head, looked and saw I was wearing my Grouse Mountain hat and not my Abbotsford Canucks hat, and that I had left it at work. So, guys, if you want to blame anyone for Abbotsford losing tonight, blame this guy. Because I left the good juju hat at work. I wasn't wearing it on my way home. Blame this guy. Me, yeah. I will take the heat for that. But we're going to break down Game 5 of the Calder Cup Finals. And at the same time, the Abbotsford Canucks are still one win away from hoisting the Calder Cup. So we're going to go ahead and break down the game, recap it. This was quite the game. Obviously, the Charlotte Checkers got away with some missed penalty calls that we will get into in this recap that, for all we know, could have shifted the momentum, and the Canucks could have capitalized on that. But before I do that, as I always do, I'm going to give a big shout out and thank you to my sponsor, Gassy Jack Art, maker of that incredible artwork you see there behind me. So yeah, go ahead and check him out, GassyJackArt.com. I believe he still has his end of season sale going on. I could be wrong, but where you basically get 4 prints and 2 of them are for free. So go ahead, check him out. You can also check him out on Instagram at GassyJackArt. Get yours today, GassyJackArt.com. All right, let's go ahead and dive into this recap. Recap, of course, brought to you by our friends at Canucks Army, and in particular, Mr. Dave Hall. So the table was set. The Abbotsford Center was sold out with not an inch to spare. The Calder Cup was in the building. After 72 regular season games and 22 in the postseason, the 2024-2025 marathon suddenly became a 100-meter dash. All the Canucks had to do was win one more game, and they still can do that. And despite allowing the game's opening goal, the Canucks felt well on their way to doing so, taking a 3-3 score into overtime. Canucks were all over the ice, suffocating the visiting Checkers team in their own end in the extra frame. But in the most Canuck fashion, things didn't go as planned after a double deflection off not one, but 2 Canucks players. The Checkers stole Game 5 in overtime, sending the series back to the Bojangles Coliseum. The weather forecast is predicting a heat wave in North Carolina, so it's the worst case scenario for this West Coast team. The good news is that they have 2 more games to close things out and have not lost back-to-back games at any point throughout this postseason run. That is a really big point to think about. Sorry to the Fraser Valley faithful, the Calder Cup parade will have to wait. As we always do, let's take a look at the starting lineup. With 3 of 4 wins, why change a formula that works? Manny Malhotra rode identical lines from Game 4, hoping to end this series at home. With his 23rd consecutive start, Artur Silov's got the call in search of his 16th victory of the postseason. You had your first line, Baines, Sasson, and Carlson. Your second line, DiGiuseppe, Mueller, and Lekaramaki. Your third line, Blais, Kara, and Smith. And then your fourth line, Nielsen, Waters, and Klimovich. Your first D pairing, as always, Breezewall and Mancini, followed by Wolanin and Wu, and then you had Hirose and Kujatsev as your third defensive pairing. Then, of course, as we mentioned, Artur Silovs in the crease. Let's take a look at the first period. The initial minutes were spent with various bobbled pucks and neutral zone exchanges. Getting his team going, Chase Waters ignited the bench after laying the reverse hit by giving his teammate a front row show. That hit did its job as Abbotsford enjoyed the next few minutes of sustained pressure, grabbing their first shots and attempts on Kaapo Kähkönen. The top line of Archie Baines, Max Sasson, and Linus Karlsson have been incredible through this entire series, and they showed off why midway through the period. Gaining entry was Sasson, who dropped the puck to Baines in the slot. Similar to the goal he scored in Game 4, he provided an incredible individual effort to test Kähkönen while falling on the ice. Continuing their press, Sasson threaded a pass toward the slot where Karlsson redirected to force the netminder to stick with the puck and set it aside. Credit to the blue line, who continues to provide incredible outlets to push the forward group up the ice, but it was the visiting team grabbing the game's opening goal. Charlotte would score to make it 1-0. Ben Steeves from Jack Devine and Oliver Aguilar. Off a Jujarkara giveaway, the Checkers transitioned and turned things into an odd man rush. With Jet Wu sliding, Jake Devine managed to outweight the check and dish a cross-ice feed to Ben Steeves, who directed past a sliding Artur Silovs. Can't really fault Silovs for this. It was a beautiful cross-crease pass, and that goal, even with this being, the AHL, that attempt, that goal, most NHL goalies would likely not stop. Despite sucking the wind out of the crowd early, the Checkers gave momentum right back, grabbing 2 penalties to send the home team on a 5-on-3 power play, and with the top unit out, they made the most of it. Abbotsford would score to make it 1-1. Linus Karlsson from Archie Baines and Christian Wolanin. With the Canucks pushing the trio of penalty killers deep, Christian Wolanin sold shot before finding Baines down low. He pushed toward the slot, attempting to slide it low on the goalie. Unsuccessful, the puck popped out directly to Linus Karlsson, who was planted in his office at the side of the net. Making no mistake, he pointed and deposited the puck into the net to send the crowd into a frenzy. Although they failed to capitalize on the remaining minutes of the power play, the goal provided the team with momentum to make a mad dash to tie the period's shot totals. With all the momentum on their side, Sammy Blais took an unfortunate penalty with less than a second remaining, protecting his netminder from all the commotion in front of him. That full 2-minute stretch would be served to start the second period. Both teams had their moments, starting with the Checkers, but credit to this resilient Canucks team, who made the most of their opportunities and finished strong. Final shots after one period were 12-11 in favor of Charlotte. Let's take a look at the second period. The Canucks made light work of the penalty kill, staving off an entire 2-minute barrage in their zone, but the Canucks were dealt with a terrible blow. Charlotte would score to make it 2-1. Brett Torsky from Jesse Pojärvi. On a routine play, Victor Mancini caught an unfortunate edge while backing into his zone. Grabbing the puck was Jesse Pojärvi, who gave it to Brett Torsky. On the sudden odd man rush, he beat Silovs clean to get ahead for a second time in the game. But hold on to your seat. The game busted wide open over the next several moments. Immediately following the goal, both teams were assessed 2-minute minors for roughing. That 4-on-4 stretch provided an incredible run for the home team. First, the equalizing goal. Abbotsford would score to make it 2-2. Archie Baines from Max Sasson and Kirill Kudryavtsev. Kirill Kudryavtsev bumped the puck up to Max Sasson in his zone before he looked up to spot a streaking Archie Baines. Retrieving the beautiful stretch pass, Baines found himself all alone with the goalie. Without overthinking anything, he confidently snapped the puck past Kähkönen to even the score for his 8th point of the series. As the goal was being announced in the building, Kudryavtsev rushed down for another chance. Heading down on the 3-on-1, he dropped the puck for a trailing Archie Baines, but sent the puck just ahead of him. Baines turned around and found a wide Kudryavtsev at the net front, who was robbed by the glove of the Checkers' netminder. But the Canucks did not let up. Abbotsford would score again to make it 3-2. Linus Karlsson from Ty Mueller and Jet Wu. Just 78 seconds later, the playoffs' leading goal scorer went to work. Following a chance at the Canucks' end, Jet Wu cleared the puck from harm before Linus Karlsson chipped the puck past the defender to put himself off to the races. Following a chance at the Canucks' end, Jet Wu cleared the puck from harm before... Oh, wait, I just read that. Sorry. With a sliding Checkers defender, the Swede cut back and outweighted his opponent before sending a labeled shot to the bottom corner while falling, spinning, and admiring the scene he just created. It was an incredible, hectic 4-on-4, and by this point, the Abbotsford Center was an absolute madhouse. But special teams continued to come into play, and after a Ty Mueller interference penalty, the Checkers pounced. Charlotte would tie it to make it 3-3. Rasmus Asplund from Eamon Powell and John Leonard. Working with the Canucks' zone, Eamon Powell rushed down below the goal line. Creeping toward the slot was Rasmus Asplund, who received the pass and fired the low one-timer past the foot of Seelovs. Sometimes a fan shot is just as good as a full one, and there's a good chance that Asplund did not get everything he wanted on this one, which took the netminder off guard. Regardless, this game was all even at 3 goals aside. After a crazy period which included goals in 78 seconds, this period would end with a 3-3 stalemate. But my goodness, was it a fun one. Shots after 2 periods were 26-18 in favor of Charlotte. Let's take a look at the third period now. Third period began with some relentless pressure from the Checkers, which wasn't incredibly surprising given the circumstances of their season being on the line, but the Canucks quickly weathered the storm and collected themselves for rushes of their own. After a hectic middle frame, the play slowed its pace right down, and by the midway point of the period, the shots were close to square with no grade A chances at either side. The way things were going, it was inching closer and closer to next goal wins territory. The visiting team finally collected the period's best chance, gunning for the odd man rush before forcing an incredible save from Seelovs. The labeled one-timer attempt, the Canucks netminder slid across to flash the leather for his 32nd save of the game, but Kähkönen returned the favor. On 2 separate occasions, he came up huge on chances that could have changed the course of this game. First, Jujhar Khaira found himself all alone in the slot, receiving the pass and firing a shot that hit Kähkönen's glove. The home crowd went nuts, assuming a goal. With the play continuing, Sasson drove the net before the puck dropped out to Linus Karlsson all alone. The third period buzzer would sound with no team solving either goalie in the third period for the third overtime of this series. The Checkers were the hungrier team in this period, with Abbotsford sitting back for most. But the table was set for overtime, where the Abbotsford Canucks carried their own fate with a chance to secure their first Calder Cup with a golden goal. Shots after 3 periods were 35-24 in favor of Charlotte. Let's take a look at overtime. With several low-grade looks, Nate Smith nearly ended the night with a tremendous drive to the net. The puck trickled wide as a player, as well as his check, came crashing into the crease. At the other end, Seelovs was doing his part, the Checkers providing good pressure. A forward cut through the crease, testing the netminder on the blocker. Then with Chase Waters, Danila Klimovic, and Tristan Nielsen lying out on the ice, the Canucks kicked things up a notch, enjoying a complete shift of sustained pressure. Just as they were off to change and the Checkers were dead tired, Max Sasson took advantage, and in vintage Sasson fashion, he broke up the middle and fired a wrist shot, which beat the netminder clean, but not the post. Canucks would just not stop coming with the top line back out. They continued to press and press, grabbing chance after chance to no avail. Next up with Jujhar Khaira, who found himself all alone in the slot uncontested. Spinning, he threw the backhand toward the net before getting robbed by the glove of Kähkönen. Khaira couldn't believe it. After 15 minutes of incredible pressure from the home team, throwing everything they had at their opponents to close out the season, the most Canuck bounce happened. Charlotte would score to make it 4-3. Jesse Puljujarvi from Matt Kiersted and Justin Sordiff. Working from behind the net, Jesse Puljujarvi attempted to find a teammate when the puck bounced off not just one Abby Canuck, but 2. First, it hit the shin pad of Ty Mueller before the puck bounced directly off the skate of Guillaume Brisebois. And it actually, if you look at the replay, it looks like Brisebois did a bit of a kicking motion, maybe trying to get it towards Seelovs or something, but instead it went into the back of the net. It's an tough way to close out a game after the Canucks pounced with incredible perseverance for nearly an entire overtime period, only to have it taken away with a double deflection. The Canucks dropped Game 5 and will head back to Charlotte in search of a Calder Cup at the Bojangles Coliseum. Final shots in the game were 40-32 in favor of Charlotte. Despite conceding the game's first goal, the Abbotsford Canucks played a strong game through the first 40 minutes. Although they took a backseat in the third, they came out guns a-blazing in the extra frame. There's no solace in the way they eventually lost the game, but the good news is that there are 2 more games to close things out. Linus Karlsson had 8 shots in this game. Archie Baines had 5. Max Sasson had 3. They all combined for 16 shots on net and 5 points. As a trio, they now have a combined 21 points in 5 games, quite literally putting this team's offense on their back. Meanwhile, Archer Seelovs made 36 saves in a losing effort and was certainly not the reason for dropping Game 5. As we mentioned, both teams will travel back to Charlotte for Games 6 and 7, Game 7 if necessary. The next game comes Monday, June 23rd, with the puck set to drop at 4 p.m. Pacific at the Bojangles Coliseum, as we mentioned. So that is this game recap. Obviously, a heartbreaking loss for the Abbotsford Canucks. And as I mentioned at the start of this video, if you guys want to blame somebody, obviously you can't blame Seelovs for that double deflection. Can't really even blame Mueller and Breezewall for it. If you guys want to blame anybody, blame this guy for leaving his Abbotsford Canucks hat at work and not wearing it, not wearing the good juju hat. Perhaps had I worn it, maybe that Max Sasson shot goes in and doesn't hit the post. Maybe, you never know. But yeah, if you guys want to throw some heat at anyone, this guy. And I'll do my best R-Truth impression. That was my bad. My bad. That one's on me. That one's on me. My bad. But a little bit of humor hopefully brightens up people's day concerning how this game ended. But let me know in the comment section down below, do you guys think Abbotsford can close it out in Game 6 on Monday at a absolutely terrible Bojangles Coliseum? And considering Charlotte's in a heat wave right now, how's that ice going to be looking, compared to Abbotsford? But once again, if you guys like this video, be sure to hit that like button. If you want to stay up to date on all Canucks content, whether that's your Abbotsford Canucks or your Vancouver Canucks content, be sure to smash that subscribe button and turn on your notifications so you don't miss a single video. I got some good content coming up today, some Canucks news on top of this Abbotsford Canucks recap video. And if you want to interact with us, find us on social media. You can find us on Facebook. You just search The Line Change to find our Facebook page. Feel free to give us a like. Feel free to follow us on our Facebook page. You can find us on Instagram at The Line Change. You can find us on X at LineChangeVan. You can also find us on TikTok at the.line.change.po. And as I mentioned, feel free to give us a follow on all of our social media platforms. That way you stay up to date. And if you prefer an audio version of this podcast, you can find us on both Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Once again, on Spotify, feel free to give us a follow as well as rate and review us. It is greatly appreciated. And so, yeah, that's going to do it for this video. As always, let's go Canucks. Let's go Abby Canucks. Let's try and close it out in Game 6 and bring home the Calder Cup. Because why? We want the cup. I'll see you guys in the next video.